Good morning. Thank you for coming. This morning we're standing in front of the old Syracuse China factory. This factory was closed in 2009 and 275 well-paying middle-class jobs were lost. The factory closed because of its inability to compete on the world stage manufacturing their products. The factors cited at the time included the high cost of manufacturing in this country in general and New York State in particular. One of the primary things that was talked about at the time was the high operating costs with respect to taxes and with respect to energy. So those are things that we continue to fight today. And now we know from a recent report by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York and their survey of a very large number of business leaders that Obamacare is causing additional competitive concerns for them. And here's some of the things that this report told us. Obamacare is increasing health coverage costs for New York businesses. Obamacare is raising employee health care costs. Obamacare is causing a suppression of wages. And Obamacare is driving up consumer prices for all of us. And I think anyone who's been to the supermarket lately will attest to the fact that the prices for goods in the supermarkets are going up. Some of the facts that were cited in detail in the report include the following. The plans are changing and are costing more for both businesses and employees. 75% of manufacturers stated and 58% of service firms stated increased costs with respect to health care. The median manufacturing firm in New York reported a 10% increase in health care costs. 63% of manufacturers and 55% of service firms reported making modifications to their existing plans. President Obama told us when Obamacare was coming into play that if you like your health care coverage, you can keep it and it won't change. We know that was flat out wrong. And that is something that we need to consider moving forward. Companies whose plans changed mainly increased employee contributions, and that's an important point to understand here. I know from talking to dozens of manufacturers and businesses throughout this district that even the businesses that take well care of their employees have had to push more of the burden onto the employees because of the increased costs associated with the Obamacare since it came online. What's that's causing is the middle class is getting more and more of a squeeze. That is, they're getting more costs pushed onto them without increased payroll to cover it. So it's costing them more money as well. It's costing the manufacturers, it's costing the businesses, it's costing the employees more money. It's also causing them to look at the workforce numbers. They're cutting the number of workers and reducing full-time pay and increasing part-time pay. And it's also raising prices. 36% of manufacturers surveyed and 25% of service firms surveyed said that they are hiking prices in order to meet the increased business costs associated with Obamacare. Now let's not forget what Obamacare was called when it was rolled out. It's called the Affordable Care Act. It's clear to this, and it's clear from anybody who has health care coverage of any sort, that Obamacare is anything but affordable. And it's clear to anyone who has insurance from the past that not only is it unaffordable, it's costing more and more for the individuals who even had health insurance in the past. The premiums are rising, deductibles are rising, and the very middle class that Mr. Maffei and the Democrats profess that they so strongly support are the ones that are taking it the worst. They're getting it the worst, and it's costing them more and more and squeezing them more and more. That's why Obamacare is so unpopular. And my concern is that unless we do something to fix Obamacare and sit down and fix it in a bipartisan manner, we're going to have more factories like this throughout our district. And we can't afford that. We can fix this problem, and we should. But one thing I want to make clear, back in 2010, after Obamacare was passed, Mr. Maffei was asked, do you have any regrets with respect to Obamacare? And his quote was, absolutely not. He does not regret his vote for Obamacare. And said he was trying to represent his district. Well, I asked Mr. Maffei today, do you have any regrets now about Obamacare in light of the Federal Reserve report? And I also asked him that in light of the fact that the medical device tax, which he knew was in there, has caused 275 job losses at Welch Allyn. And it's suppressed Welch Allyn's business efforts going forward. And it's scary when a company like Welch Allyn, such a high quality company, is in peril. And I don't know if it's in peril, but it is struggling to compete on the world stage. It's also scary to think of all the upstart medical device manufacturing in this area are struggling to keep up with Obamacare because of medical device tax. Between the medical device tax and all the other costs associated with health care that stifle manufacturing, we need to fix that. And again, I asked Mr. Maffei, Do you have any regrets now?